Right. Hi, everybody. My name's Aidan Rath.
I'm Zander Schotz.
And today, for our final project, our final speech, we wanted to talk to you guys about climate change, but climate change more specifically in the Rhode Island area.
So the goal or our purpose is to essentially educate and reform and just spread awareness of what climate change is, how it affects people. If you live on this planet, you're affected by climate change and global warming. It affects everyone. It's gone under the radar for too long, and we need to people need to be aware of what's going on.
All right. So our thesis statement, or our mission statement, as you will, air pollution and global warming are they're invisible threats in the air, very hard to detect, but they have very real effects on not only ourselves and our pets, but the environment around us. Most importantly, there are steps we can all take as a community, steps we can take as individuals to just help reduce the amount of air pollution emitted into the air and help provide cleaner air for everybody, not just the state of Rhode Island.
All right, so the things we'll be talking about, our main points are essentially what global warming is, how it affects people, what essentially it's doing to our planet. Next, we're going to be talking about the solutions, how we can fix it, better alternatives, things that can help reduce this nasty whatever is going on. And then we're going to talk about our campaign. So essentially, our campaign is we walked around URI, we interviewed people, we asked some questions, we got to know them a little bit, we got some interesting feedback, and then we'll jump into our analysis. We'll dissect. We'll learn from what they talked about. So yeah.
So just to jump right in and give you guys a little bit of background knowledge, what is climate change and global warming, and how does that all go down? So climate change is the result of air pollution. More specifically, air pollution is a mix of man-made gases and gases that are released from the earth that create a very harmful gas. One example is CO2 emitted out of exhaust of cars. When mixed with like oxygen in the air around us, CO2 becomes CO2, and it creates a very harmful gas into the air. The effects it has on humans, they're very wide range, but they're more specifically focused toward the respiratory area. So effects like COPD, asthma, lung cancer, things like that have all been rooted from air pollution. Specifically, asthma has risen 75% since 1980. So in the past 40 years, the rates of asthma in the US alone have risen drastically, and it's a very prevalent thing nowadays. And every single year, 16,000 Americans will lose their lives every single year without having smoked a cigarette a day in their lives. They'll lose their lives to a respiratory disease that is pretty much out of their control. These are Americans that practice healthy lifestyles. They work out. It's your everyday person. It's an unjust way, and yeah.
So another crazy thing is basically what global warming is doing is it's melting the polar ice caps in Antarctica, and this is causing the water to basically move all around the planet. So like islands such as like Hawaii and stuff like that, those could potentially be engulfed in the next 100 years. Like water levels are rising. It's a problem. Like Rhode Island, it has beautiful beaches. The water scenery in Rhode Island's amazing, but all those houses in Narragansett, Point Judith, like all those beautiful areas, like it would be a shame if like over time they're lost. Like we have to fight for what we want, and you know Rhode Island has some of the greatest beaches ever, so we can't let that happen.
And like Xander said, like the effects of air pollution and climate change, they're not just limited to us humans, but it's the environment around us that is also being immediately impacted. There's environmental issues being caused by air pollution, such as smog, blocking sunlight. Sunlight is a vital aspect to our everyday lives, provides us with vitamin D, bone structure, bone health. But additionally, air pollution causes, when it rests, when it finally settles down, it can settle down into our water streams, into our ecosystems, our soil, our crops, these essential aspects of our lives, of the backbone of the world is crops, essentially. And that is tainted by air pollution.
Climate change affects everything. Like there's no avoiding it. There's reducing it, and that's our goal. So some of the items we can use to help reduce climate change. For a great example, Tesla, fuel efficient car, all electricity, doesn't produce those excess harmful gases. It's a great alternative. Um, Another amazing alternative are solar panels. Instead of using oil, gas, all those harmful, just awful things, you can use sunlight. Great form of electricity. Another great way to help reduce and cut down on the global warming. And like other little things like people cutting down trees. Like trees are huge for our environment. That when you cut down a tree, it helps with global warming. Well, when you leave a light on the house or leave a faucet running, like all those little things, like you don't understand. It all adds up. So it's the little things that we have to make sure we take care of.
Yeah, and like you said, like it's the little things like leaving your faucet running. Maybe you're taking an extra long shower, but there's also things like leaving your car running. Like maybe you're going to pick up a friend and you're waiting outside their house. Maybe just turn the key off. Maybe turn your engine off and just do that little bit to help preserve our air for everybody else. Or maybe you guys can carpool or things like that. Cars and the exhaust of cars are one of the biggest culprits when it comes to releasing harmful gases and CO2 specifically into the air.
Another huge thing is I know if you drive through Providence, it's impossible to avoid. There are giant smokestacks producing tons of smoke. Like that stuff is so bad for our planet. Like even if we can't shut down every factory because factories are essential, but like maybe converting factories to solar panels or just trying to cut down on all this excess stuff. Like we can't get rid of everything, but helping to cut down like all the little things, like it'll go along.
So to talk about our campaign a little bit, for our campaign, we decided to do something a little out of the box. We didn't want to choose like flyers or creating a social media account. We decided to get right hands on and get out on campus at URI to just kind of find students walking by and interviewing them just on things based on global warming, climate change, air pollution, and how just to gauge how aware of our current state they were, and our results were quite interesting.
Yeah.
And attached here is a YouTube video from one of our 6 interviews from one of our students. Actually, one of Zander's fraternity brothers was kind enough to lend us his voice in this. So,
all right. So the analysis of our campaign. A lot of people, not very surprisingly, don't really know what climate change and global warming is. It's not a huge shock, but I think that it definitely needs to be more of a relevant case, because if you live on this planet, you are affected by global warming, climate change. Like there's no way of avoiding it. There's just fixing it. Like another thing we need to figure out is we need to spread more awareness. Like I don't think it's talked about enough, and I think spreading awareness will only help. And that was a good thing that we did, is when we did walk around, even though people didn't know a lot about global warming, we were able to spread awareness, get people thinking, just really engaging in our audience. But one thing I think we lacked, or I think we could have done better, was to interview people in groups. We did a lot of one-on-one interviews, and I think if we did like group interviews, people could bounce their ideas off each other, and we get more complex and better answers. But overall, I think we did a really good job of like the questions we picked and getting good answers. Just overall, I think our campaign was it was well thought out.
So in conclusion, just to wrap things up, I just want to reiterate part of our thesis from earlier, just how real climate change is and how much danger we all could be in. And it's not just Rhode Island, but it's the world collectively. Um, what Xander just said about our interviews with people, we weren't trying to fix um, anything regarding global warming here, but we were just trying to spread awareness, kind of get on the front doorstep of people who were maybe turning a blind eye or weren't super aware of the situation at hand. And I believe we did exactly that. We kind of put it right on their minds,
Absolutely.
and definitely for the moment they thought the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we hope we did here today with you guys watching. We gave you a little bit of information, a little bit of background information as to what exactly is going on, but most importantly, we gave you guys the possible solutions, such as like turn the faucet off, take a shorter shower, maybe less trips in the car, carpool, things like that. And we implore all of you guys to heed our information and do your best to incorporate these little actions or these little aspects into your everyday lives to help all of us together collectively, not just as a state, but as a community, as a race, as a human race, to help achieve cleaner air.
Yeah, like I said again, I'm gonna say it one more time. Like, if you live on this planet and if you're watching this, you are affected by climate change and global warming. I can't emphasize this enough. Like, things in 100 years can be drastically different. Climate change affects weather, it affects everything. So even though we might not have been much of a help today, all the things that you guys take away from this, it's a plus. Anything you take away is a plus. It's just energy saving. That's just what it is.
We're looking to take a step in the right direction.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, we want to thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed the slideshow. We hope ultimately you took something, at least one thing valuable away, because it's the little things that count.
It's a very important topic, and the amount of awareness that's currently being shed upon it is just not, it's not where it needs to be if we really want to initiate this change and really want to make a change in the world together.
Yeah. And if you guys are interested in learning more about this or reading up on climate change and this information, we have 3 awesome sources that are here. They do a great job explaining stuff. If you ever are confused or feel like you want to make a change, these sources will help you guys out. So once again, we want to thank you guys for listening and hope you guys enjoyed the slideshow.
Thank you.